want to ask the audience if you all have questions. Before that, can you take us through just quickly how this book came to be? It was a book that Dom was reporting and writing when he was killed, and he was killed in the process of reporting it. And so he had some material left, but it needed to be finished. Can you talk about how we got from the material that Dom left to this book that we have today?
Wow, it's an amazing journey, because for me, this book, being left unfinished, it was unacceptable. They tried to silent book Don and Bruno. And I really appreciate this book team with amazing names of journalists, and they made this effort to finish the book because they have the same sensation. It's unacceptable. Just leave this book unfinished. And it's important to say that no one gained any money. They work with a collective amazing team to finish this. We had the introduction that Don made the introduction and the first 4 chapters.
The first 4 chapters.
Yeah. And we have materials to finish, but not in any chapter. We have more information for one chapter and less for others. And they have amazing work traveling to the same place that Don made, making the same, interviewing the same people. So I think that was absolutely fantastic. And I really think that this book is a practical example that Don wrote in the introduction. It's only the collective and community thinking can save the Amazon. So they made this in an amazing way. And I think that Andrew can give you all the details, because he was the responsible to just understand the Don's letter, horrible letter, and with in his notebook, and just to discover the passwords of many files. So
yeah, so the book opens in the introduction with Dom in the Javari Valley, which is the place that he was killed. It opens with this trip with him with Bruno Pereira, and this was the last trip of this book project. So when he was shot, he was 30 minutes away from town, and then he was going to get on another boat to go to another town, and then he's going to get on an airplane, go to Manaus, the big giant megalopolis in the middle of the Amazon that's just freakish. You should look it up. It's just like the wildest city. And then go to back home, Quesale, sit in his office, for 3 months and just finish this book, which is just like, so much makes it more tragic and sadder. And so he had so much work done. It was so organized. It was so well structured. He's an incredibly organized guy, much better at organization than cryptography, thankfully. It made it much easier to get all of his files. And so he had all these dozens and dozens of interviews, and each of them was connected to each chapter, and he had outlines for each one, but as the chapters went on, the files started getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So by the time we got to the one that I did, which is one of the last ones, he had like 5 links. One of them was an article I wrote, and he had told me, I have no fucking idea what I'm gonna do for this chapter. Which was a lot easier for me because it gave me more freedom of motion. But for the ones that were right after the ones that he stopped, I made you cry, I'm so sorry. That he had much more working on. It was really difficult as an author to think about, how am I going to do this chapter? Am I going to try to do ghost whispering and channel Dom and what he would have done, which is going to be terrible. You're never going to be able to do as well as he could. It's just going to be bizarre. And so we realized that everybody had to do their own chapter with their voice, but we chose authors that knew him, that cared for him, and were very dedicated to honoring his vision. Because there's lots of specialists and experts who have very different opinions about what the future needs, what the solutions are. And if you just get experts that have no connection to the man who's responsible for this book, then it's just going to be a free-for-all. So I think everybody did a very good job of trying to stay as true as they could to Dom, to his vision, to the notes that he left. And one of the things that we were very set on very early is that we needed to raise the money, and we did a crowdfunding. We had 400 people that donated to this. We got some other grants. That every chapter that wasn't finished, we needed to have the people go out in the field, because he was so adamant about the fact that you can't, like, the best reporting is not done by telephone. You have to be there. You have to see what they're seeing. You have to see what they're not telling you. You have to, get those little pieces of context that are the key to making people care the way that he cared, right? And so we sent reporters out, and that's why this book took 3 years from when he was killed to when it was published. We sent people, we had said one author for each chapter, send them to the places that he went or that he would have wanted to go, and try to retrace some of the steps, find new steps, because the dynamics, the political dynamics had changed. He was doing this under the Bolsonaro administration, we were doing it under Lula. And just try to make the best book possible. And lastly, there were so many people that wanted to participate, and that were completely qualified to do incredible work, but there's only so many chapters. So we felt that it was important that we, since this book is about people power and this collective action that's necessary, we wanted to, and that making sure that his voice wasn't silenced, we thought it was important to have as many people as possible contributing. So there's 36 contributors to the book that did editing, that did revision, that gave photos, that helped with logistics, that wrote. So it's this massive project of so many people that really cared for Dom, and that really believed in his vision. So it still hasn't really set in, like that it actually exists, right? Like you see it here over here, but it still doesn't feel real because it's been such a long and painful process. So thank you all for coming and supporting the book and the vision.
And I just want to add one thing, because I'm very emotional. I'm a Latin American woman, so I'm crying all the time and talking about emotions. And I think that they had this careful to follow the Don's idea, the Don's appointment. He's absolutely guiding this book. But all of them had their own style to write. And I think this is so beautiful, because you have Don's idea, but in many different ways. And I think, well, Don probably will not write this, but this is fantastic, because it's the Don's mind with the collaborative work. Mm-hmm. So I think this book, my God, this book is absolutely fantastic.
It is remarkable.
Yeah.